So 42.5 millimeters for the Chronotempus 1 to 6 edition and 39 millimeters. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful timepiece. Albert, when do you think you'll have the final version? Because you were explaining to me the piece we saw at the Festival of Time was an initial prototype, wasn't it?
Yes, we did a prototype first for Chronotempus, and the 42.5 will be tentatively ready in September, and the 39 millimeter shortly after that. And the bottleneck in both cases being that we assemble every movement down from or up from the smallest parts from the screws by hand. So one more watch means one more movement assembled by hand. And that's the bottleneck. Of course,
we were discussing
Swiss watch industry is a little crazy at the moment, so there's always the chance that something else takes longer than expected, but September is very realistic.
Of course. We were discussing the other day how I was naively asking you what you had available in stock, and at the moment you have absolutely nothing. So there's a bit of patience to be had there.
Unfortunately, yes, that's the well, that's what you just discussed with the Czapek situation. We strictly go by order of incoming orders, and we obviously don't have the capacity at the moment to produce movements even for demonstration pieces.
Yeah.
It's sometimes frustrating to a point when somebody wants to see a certain watch and we just don't have it at the moment. But we're hiring watchmakers, so every watchmaker watching, Saint Imier is quiet but beautiful. And we hope to improve the situation soon.
Brilliant, absolutely. You actually bring up a really good point there, because getting young watchmakers and getting not only young watchmakers but proficient, talented watchmakers who can do the work to the standard that Zeitwinkel and Czapek and Schwarz at the end require. Are those young talents coming through, Albert?
Yes.
Still have Johnny sounding a bit like the Pope. So if I don't know if Albert, you can do something to reduce one of the two devices.
I don't have my headphone here. That's the problem. So I turned down the sound all the way.
Okay. Sorry, answer the question. All good.
Yeah. And anyways, I think it's easier than it was 10 years ago, because there are so many more young watchmakers going their own way, like Rune Backendorf, for example, who create their own movements, their own decorations, their own watches. And working with a independent watchmaker where you just not just put in a screw all day long and the same screw for a month or two, but where you actually get to work with movements. And if something doesn't fit, you have to manufacture something. That is an excellent path. And I think there is an interest for that. And there's also a lot more interest in becoming a creator afterwards. Like Dan Spitz said, you better repair for a while. You better work with somebody who has done it. And then you go out and you make your own watches. And I think it should be interesting for young watchmakers who want to go down that path to work with the likes of Czapek or Schwarz Etienne or us.
Yeah.
Sorry, Johnny, carry on.
One of the things that we had wanted to investigate in Ireland was the potential of re-establishing a watchmaking school or some kind of formal education here. But one of the things that we were coming up against was why train young watchmakers in Ireland when, if they set out to go on their own, they cannot get components from the big manufacturers. So it's, to me, it's driving them towards independent watch companies, which, like yourself, who there's a better prospect of a career. What's the point of training somebody if you set them free into the wild and they can't get components to do their work?
Well, very often, and I may sound a little harsh on the established conglomerates here, but very often the interest is not that they go out and do something themselves, but they are trained in watchmaking schools, sometimes that are close to a certain brand or company, and they're supposed to do exactly that, put in that one screw and understand what they're doing, of course, and
Yes.
do it perfectly. But if you make, I don't know, 10, 20, 50,000 watches a year, you don't need any artists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I will leave this.
And that's simplifying it, of course.
Yeah,
Do
absolutely.
you have
No,
a magic number, Albert? And I want to say that this is obviously an impromptu broadcast where we had the pleasure of inviting Albert just randomly, and thank you for your time, Albert. But I would like to have a proper structure live with you as well to talk about Zeitwinkel properly. Meanwhile, I want to ask you: do you have a magic number where you see Zeitwinkel sitting in the near future in terms of how many pieces you want to gift the world with?
Well, we're not gifting the world; they actually have to buy our watches. Um, but no, I thank you very much. That's a
You
very
were the one.
beautiful way to put it. But
You were the one that said that the German book of jokes is very slim, but you must be an exception. Huh?
well, I come from the southwest of Germany, so
Yeah.
we're very close to France. Maybe that rubs off.
they're funny.
But no, seriously, if we look at numbers, we would never extend it beyond the quality point that Johnny just mentioned for Czapek. That's one thing. And we don't significantly want to change the way we make our watches. Of course, there's always an in and out where at some critical mass you can start making something in-house, or at some critical quantity you would take it to be made elsewhere, so you free your own capacity for the more creative stuff. But if I had to give a number, it's probably very difficult to go beyond 1,000 or 2,000 watches. I
Wow.
think that would make it extremely difficult, and we'd rather not go into a conveyor belt type serial production, but rather, level off at that quantity and maybe go more diverse in terms of the type of watches we build, but not extend it beyond that.
Very
Well,
interesting insights. For those that want to know more about Zeitwinkel, there's a very clever little video that explains the reality behind Zeitwinkel in-house manufacturing. I don't know if you've seen that one, Johnny. Really, really interesting.
Yeah. But I can also remember, Albert, it's been a hard road to get Zeitwinkel to this point where we're actually talking about maybe having it 1,000 or 2,000 watches per annum. Because I can remember that over the years, like for any small company, getting to that level is a work of passion and dedication and commitment. And I know, my goodness, you guys have put in the miles to get this stage, and I am delighted to see you getting to this level, to this point. Long may it continue.
We're not near that point at the moment. We're in the lower three-digit quantities for this year, and we want to take it very slowly. But I think one lesson we had to learn, and that is something that we can certainly pass on to any young watchmaker out there who wants to create his or her own watches, is persistence. You just don't give up. In the beginning we had, when we started, like that young man up there,
and this one,
and
it's the name of the game. In Ireland, honestly, it's the name of the game. You nailed, you nailed it absolutely, Albert.
Yeah, it's persistence, and when we started out in 2006, everybody laughed at us. Everybody told us it would not be possible. And of course, there are always doubts, and you run into stupid little problems that after a month of fiddling with a certain mechanism, you find out some pins were put in the wrong way in some watches, right? You can put them in this way or that way, and if only one of them is put in the wrong way, you get a date of, let's say, 33rd.
I like that special edition. It could become a collectible.
Well, we can make those, but it's an extra. It costs extra.
Yeah, it's there's a question from Watch Norvège, our friend Bjorn. Albert, I love your watch, the handcraft and design. A question: with all the development with the indie watchmaking and so many good models coming up, where do you find the inspiration to your own and unique designs?
Well, first of all, we don't change designs every 5 minutes, so we don't have the usual 1 or 2 collections per year, but we sometimes slightly update our classic design. And we work with partners like Chrono Tempest who has created a design that is modern yet fits the classic Zeitwinkel look. And we look for inspirations around us. It's both on the technology side. You can do so much more with dials nowadays than you could do when we started out. And we're looking for inspirations, actually, and that sounds extremely cheesy, very close around us in the Jura, where you have all kinds of shapes, where you have the traditional stone walls, where you have patterns that have established, where you have very specific landscape. And we're thinking about creating something that reflects that. But very often it's the fact that Peter, Max, and I sit down after a long day in the atelier and we have a glass of absinthe. I know I shouldn't say this, and somebody throws
perfectly
in a
legal these
completely
days.
stupid idea, and we take it from there.
Johnny, you want to read the next question coming from our friend Gotcha Man?
Gotcha. Well, yes, I actually do wonder if absinthe plays a part in watchmaking and is responsible for some of independent watchmaking's more exotic creations, Mr. Halter. So,
at least it's legal. It's legal these days, isn't it?
Absolutely. I have a bottle of it around the corner here somewhere, so I'm afraid of it. But Gotcha Man asked a question. Is there potentially a sports model coming from Zeitwinkel?
I don't believe that you should wear mechanic watches when doing any aggressive sports, but we are working on, very slowly working to not get the excitement up here, on a smoother case with a steel bracelet. That can also be worn with a caoutchouc or a rubber bracelet, and that will possibly have additional functions in the lunette. So what's the lunette in English?
In the bezel.
The
Bezel. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have our first designs and we're playing around with them, but it's always that or make watches, and at the moment we're making watches.
Lovely. Yeah.
Very good.
Everything,
So for you,
everything
sorry,
in its
Johnny,
own
yeah.
time.
Absolutely. And at the moment, as official retailers of Zeitwinkel, we can offer 3 to 4 months, more or less, waiting on any pre-order. We are happy to take pre-orders and manage that for you and help out with for Albert to give us some kind of priority on allocations. We can do that job. Another question: the current collection with the Sunblast and rubber are such a good combo of sporty and dress already for writing time watches. So it's not a question, but obviously a valuable comment. James, nice to see you as well. And again, this is just an appetizer of what we're going to do soon with Zeitwinkel. If Johnny will be available as well, it would be nice to have you guys for an insightful conversation about Zeitwinkel. So I thank
promise
you
I
very
will
much.
shave then.
You don't have to
Yeah,
do that.
really.
Thank you, Albert, and we
Thank you very
shall see you
much.
very soon. Thank you.